The main reason for us investing in Traka was to provide an asset management system, predominantly for managing our fleet, but also as a means to manage building keys as well.
If you have Traka, you know that if you want to restrict access, then it's also very easy to say, right, okay, that room is now only accessible between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday. So it just enables us to tailor access to either rooms or equipment. We already have proximity cards which enable you to get into the building and into certain areas of the building, and we've been able to reuse those for Traka purposes. So we've got one card which is security for the building, and it doubles as a Traka card for cars and rooms as well. So beautifully sort of interfaced with the system that we had already.
We've got lots of cars, but we never seem to have enough. And yet, if you look in the yard of any police station, it's always full of vehicles. And it was something that was mentioned to us from Merseyside, that they'd been able to, in 6 months, reduce their fleet by a significant number of vehicles, and that was all due to the management information that they could drive out of Traka. They'd reported a decrease in the number of Polax accidents involving police vehicles since they'd launched the Traka system. I think it's really important from the public perception that we manage Polax effectively in any incident involving police vehicles. They've obviously got a financial implication to the force, but they've also got an impact on asset utilisation, because if a vehicle is involved in a Polac, it may be off the road for several days, several weeks even, or it may be written off completely. We deal with vehicles as an asset to the force as opposed to something that's the right of an individual or of a department.
In the future, you should be able to use a car from one division and then park it somewhere else and somebody else to know where it is.
In addition to that was the opportunity to network the system, and we need to see the picture right across the force. It is quite a significant cultural change from how we as a force have historically managed our assets, and that even just grouping keys in a box on a wall that isn't in someone's pocket or isn't in a desk drawer is quite a world away from what we have had. So being able to manage the keys is in one sense only the starting point. What we're looking for Traka to deliver is a business solution around effective asset management.
If you control your assets, then you're also minimising risk.
We felt we wanted some real in-depth understanding of the sort of management information we can drive out from Traka.
Very often we've got an asset and we give it a useful life of maybe 2 years, but without Traka we've got no way of measuring how often that asset is being used. With Traka we can get a good idea of whether it's being used more frequently, less frequently, and obviously if it's more frequently then we can start to make some sort of asset replacement decisions earlier rather than later.
And there are other areas around risks in the business that we expect Traka to deliver to us as well.
And I guess there's some less sort of quantifiable ones. I think we've all experienced the scenario where there's a car blocking a van or a response car that needs to get out pretty sharpish. With Traka, you've got an idea of who's got the keys, so you can either phone them, radio them and say, look, can you move your car out of the yard? I need to get a scenes of crime van out. So those are sort of less quantifiable but equally of benefit to the organisation.
Traka allows us to look at the whole organisational fleet and to swap and change vehicles around the organisation, and I would anticipate that we can make some real cost savings. And we're talking about the ability to be able to book vehicles in advance through the system, so the frustration of coming into work and going to find a bunch of keys and your mate's gone off with it and you're not going to see them for the rest of the day, then we're providing a facility to get over that and to almost provide an in-house hire car system We know there are other bolt-ons that we can have to the system, including fault logging, and there are other forces we understand in the country who actually use that. Traka leaves as an audit trail, and it's there often as a protection for individuals as well. So, if you do use a car and you go to it and find there's a dent in the wing, but it was actually like that when you went to it, the system will show who's used it before you.
Or it's simply, if the car's not in a state of roadworthiness, a complete kind of health and safety issue like that. If the brakes aren't working properly, or it's due to be serviced, it hasn't been serviced, then it's our opportunity to make sure some of those fundamental things are done.
We do have logbook systems that mean that each time you use a vehicle, you write down the mileage and who's actually using the vehicle at that particular time. We want the opportunity to get rid of our vehicle logbooks entirely, and we believe Traka will enable us to do that.
The money is getting tighter. We need to make sure that our assets sort of work harder for us.
And it's important that as members of this organisation, people understand that asset management and asset protection and reducing the risk around our assets is a critical management tool for the future as well as for today.
And I guess also from our public bodies who sort of look after us, whether it's the Police Authority or Audit Commission or HMIC, then we can demonstrate to them that our assets either need to be replaced and are working effectively to us. So it's a two-way thing, really.